What's going on? Nitro Gamer 7 here. Just want to be sharing some thoughts on the NES Classic Edition, the big Christmas item that everyone is going crazy for. And I was lucky enough to be able to get a copy. And so I just want to share some thoughts with the system. And first off, I want to talk about what's in the box. What's in the box is you obviously have the box itself, but then you also have the poster that comes with it. And it looks pretty cool. Haven't opened it yet. And then you have the system itself. You have an HDMI cable that's a black HDMI cable, actually says Nintendo on it. You have a USB and then the power supply. I think the instructions actually say to unplug your system after you're done using it. I don't know exactly on that, but I do think that's rather silly, so I just keep it plugged in all the time. And then what comes with the system is you have the controller. And so here is just the regular NES controller that comes with it. Obviously, it is Classic Controller approved, so you just use that, and it's like, hey, I now have a Classic Controller that is a NES controller. One thing that's different about it that I've noticed, remember the original D-pads being a little bit crisper? And something, I guess, that's something that people like. I personally like the original D-pad a little bit more than this one. This one's a little bit mushier, and so I don't know. That's just my initial thoughts on it. The cable's also really, really short. A lot of people have said that that's a major complaint. I already have adapters that are on the way, but they are 2.5 feet long, I think. And the original, these Wii Classic controllers or Classic Controller Pros are actually a little bit longer. The other nice thing, too, is that if you press the home button on the Classic Controller Pro, it actually activates the reset on the NES Classic Edition. And so that puts you back to your main menu, allows you to use restore points, and the best part of the whole thing is that you can just sit on the couch or wherever you're at and not get up and have to hit the reset button on the system. But that's just some thoughts on that. One thing that I do want to call to your attention, and it's with this controller port, is that all of the Classic controllers that you've bought from Nintendo actually have this little piece of plastic here. And I'm guessing the piece of plastic, I think you were supposed to like put your Wii remote little like string through it, and then it's like, hey, if for some reason this connection fails and pops off, at least this piece of plastic stops it, which is totally not worth in my opinion. But anywho, it's actually blocking the second controller port. And so no matter really what I do, it's like, hey, I can't play. Unless this is, of course, then if it goes in controller port 2, no problems. But one easy solution is that just get a really small screwdriver, unscrew those, little screws, and then kaboom, just take off the plastic piece and you're all good. But that is just something to be aware of, is that you either need to get some extension cables for your system, or you need to know how to unscrew the plastic off. But that's just an easy fix, but that's just something that is really easy to miss. I think that's a rather kind of a design flaw by Nintendo. I wish they would have made those ports a little bit farther apart from each other. But I guess that makes it look different than what the original system looks like. Whatever. Anyways, the original system didn't even have those plugs. So I'm going to turn on the system and have a demonstration of some gameplay. We'll see how my skills are when I play. So here's a list of games. You got 30 different built-in games. You can't add any more games. People get kind of frustrated by that, but it happens. So you can see the text on the screen as the game name. Never got big on the Castlevania games. Donkey Kong, really hard game. Played the original Double Dragon on a arcade the other day. It was actually really fun. Gradius, that's a sweet game. Still have the cartridge. Kirby's Adventure, another one of my favorites. Mario Bros. Used to play that all the time in the Game Boy Advance. It was 4 players back then, and that was a lot of fun. I like that. Mega Man 2, not very good at that game. Super Contra. I wish it had the original Contra. That's just my take on it. Absolutely love the original Contra, one of my favorite NES games of all time. Really, really cool game. Super Mario Brothers 3, which is just kind of the epic classic. Tecmo Bowl, still play that game with my brother occasionally on the holidays. That was a big reason I really didn't sell the system, is I want to be able to play that on an HD TV and actually make it look nice and play that with him over Christmas. That's going to be really fun. So that'll be exciting. And then, of course, the Legend of Zelda games. And one thing that you'll notice, you have the display option up here, and you have the different filters you can use. I won't be displaying the filters today, but CRT is one that people are really excited about. I was actually kind of excited about it, and then I tried it, and it's just kind of blurry. And personally, I don't think it's very worth it. It does have the scan lines added to it, so it's kind of a nice feature, but I personally don't care for it. Pixel Perfect kind of condenses the screen, actually makes it a little bit smaller. Apparently makes Pixel Perfect. But for me, I really just kind of keep it at the 4:3 ratio. I think that's certainly my preference. You have options. Yeah, that's just kind of how I keep it. And then language, legal notices, and manuals. So they do have the manuals on this thing. With your cell phone nowadays, I would just rather just download the manuals that way, or just learn how to play the game. But we'll see how that goes. So here is Super Mario Bros. 3, one of the all-time classics, and very happy that all of the Mario Bros. Games got to be a part of this collection. They're definitely some of my favorites. We'll see how I do. I normally get pretty nervous, apparently, when I play while being recorded. So responsiveness wise, it feels fine. Doesn't feel like there's like input lag or anything. If there is any input lag, it's definitely going to be more my TV. It's not going to be the system. And so I'm kind of excited to actually get a TV that does this thing justice. But I guess it kind of adds to the adorable setup, if you will. So yeah, if the sound sometimes seems a little bit harsh, I again don't know if that is my speakers. That is most likely the case, but I don't know that. And then you can see on the left there's kind of a blue strip there. That's actually how it's displaying the entire picture. And so CRTs actually wouldn't display the entire picture because of the natural, I guess, kind of curved frame of it, since the screen was kind of bent outwards. And you had the frames on the side, it would actually cover up that bar in almost every circumstance. So that's why you're seeing that kind of weird looking blue bar on the left side. And let's get that time flute. So there, that's great time to demonstrate the home feature on the controller. And so like if you have your original Classic Controller or Classic Controller Pro, you just press the little button in the middle that says home. And then boom, you're back here. And so you've got your little box on the bottom left. If you hit down, it'll tell you where you want to save it. And so I'm like, oh, I'm going to save over this. You just hold A, and then it saves it. And so then I can go back whenever I want to and go back and play that. You have the lock feature, which I don't see the point in the lock feature because I just bypassed the lock really easily. But whatever the case is, I guess that means that you can't save over it. Let's see what it does. Yeah, it means that I can't save over it if it's locked. So I guess that's like, hey, in case you have your silly cousin that destroys the file or something, just like it used to happen all the time in Pokemon, I can't go over it because it's locked. But that's where it's like, well, you just go back down and then you unlock it. But whatever, the lock feature's there, I guess, so it's kind of nice. You do have 4 save files for every single game, which is pretty handy. I enjoy that feature a lot. And so that is my review of the NES Classic Edition. I really hope that if they make another micro console, I hope that they do. Please have longer controller cords. It's nice to have adapters, I guess, but I'd rather just, have it come out of the box that way. Also, include a second controller. You have a lot of games on here that are multiplayer, and so if you're putting emphasis on multiplayer games, why not add a second controller? I'd gladly pay even $80 for an extra controller built into it. That'd be kind of handy. And I don't know. I wish that they would go back with their original kind of crisper D-pad instead of kind of the mushiness. But that's just my take on it. Some people might like that. But that's all I've got to say on the NES Classic Edition. Thanks for your attention, and I'm hoping that y'all will be able to get this system soon. I was talking with an associate today over at a major retail store, and he was talking about how they're supposed to have systems back in during the Black Friday, or at least before then. So it's like, hey, if they have it before then, that's only a few weeks away. And please, 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 I don't like Nintendo's time frames, and I know that it's really hard to have faith in them right now, especially lately with some kind of mistakes they make with time frames. But I do really want to trust them, and like, hey, don't spend $800 from a scalper on eBay or Amazon. Just wait, and then the scalpers have wasted their time. Just wait for, I'd give it at least just 2 weeks. I know that a lot of parents especially are like, hey, this is like the one thing that my kid really wanted. Or even some spouses are like, hey, this is something my spouse really wanted. I want to get it for them for Christmas. Please just wait for 2 weeks. And if Nintendo hasn't done anything by then, I guess you can, I guess just suck it up and pay for it. But it's not worth $800 for any stretch of the imagination. Just wait for a few weeks and get the $60 and you're good. I'm hoping that they stock controllers in soon, even though I'm not a huge fan of the controller. I'd like to have 2 of them, just, I guess, for anything, for collection's sake. But this is my review of the NES Classic Edition, and thanks for your attention.